Most businesses are wasting money the way they use AI automations. Here are the main things you need to understand when it comes to using AI in your business. This is how you actually scale performance. This is how you actually cut costs with using these tools. And this is how you don't get lost in all the hype and all the buzz of all the crazy stuff out there, because AI has a lot of crazy stuff you can put in place. But a lot of times, putting that AI in place is going to cause more headache than it will good, and it's going to be outdated in like 90 days. So you don't want to be spending tons of time building these intricate AI automation systems when in reality, you got to understand how to best use AI. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. As someone who's been playing around with AI in businesses, in marketing, in content creation, in workflows, in onboarding clients, I play around with everything, with my own business, with my clients' businesses, and we've seen where it really is valuable and where it isn't valuable. Most things out there are not valuable for your business. We need things that actually cut costs, actually allow us to produce at a faster and higher rate. And if you're watching the Midas AI ecosystem right now, I personally am able to produce at 5-10 times the rate as I was before because of the AI tools available out there. And the content looks good. The things I'm producing, the automations, getting people in place, it all looks good and feels good because we're not overdoing it. So let's dive into it. The most important things to understand when you're using AI automations in your business. Now let's go ahead and take an example here. Right now we're building the Midas report, which is our daily email newsletter for Midas AI. This is meant as a professional journalistic type of broadcast where we are looking at the top news every day, and we have our brains, our own as well as our AI brains, coming together, collaborating to create as high quality content as possible. We're not trying to be an RSS feed where we just kind of regurgitate content out there. We want to have input. We want to see things that are actually needle moving news for businesses, and then we want to tell them how this relates and how they can use that information. Now, that's just the daily news. We have a bunch of other things going out there as far as our content goes, but we are leaning heavily on AI throughout our business. We're called Midas AI. Our business is about how to use AI in your business appropriately. So we want to use AI in our own business, and then I want to show you exactly how that's done. And that's what we're doing in the newsletter here, because it has a lot of human interaction building this newsletter, but we are allowing AI to give us the best possible outcome we can. And that comes from certain steps. Now, if you were going to fully automate your email newsletter, then you would simply create a series of prompts that connect together, and it sends that information throughout. Now, this is what most agencies and most business owners that are selling AI services are selling you on. The one button click and then your entire process is handled and there's nothing in there. That's not really reality right now. And it's also not going to be something that makes you get ahead. When it comes to business, it's a competition. And if it's a one button click, that means that it's easily repeatable and your competitors can do the same. So there's nothing actually making you stand out there. So when it comes to creating our email newsletter, we are leaning heavy on the AI prompts, but in between every single step, there is a human element that comes in place. We have an editorial manager who understands quality journalism, quality check on the information, editing the information, understands our voice and our brand message and what we're trying to deliver. So they are able to rework every step of the process so that we have what we're looking for in the end result. You know, AI having a complete automated system is very much like that old game of telephone where you have a phrase you start with, you whisper it in someone's ear, and then you have like 10 people down, they're whispering each other's ear. By the last person, that phrase is completely different. If you're relying on AI automations to generate content, send that content to the next generation that continues doing that process, it's going to have a very similar end result as that telephone game, especially when you're trying to have a consistency, a voice, a message, a brand, And that's what we're doing, building our business. So in this case, we have a few key steps when you're building a newsletter. Step one is research. You have to come up every day with the content ideas that you're going to be talking about and creating. That is an AI prompt. AI does that extremely well. It scrapes the web for us, gives us all the content that came out in the last 24 hours across all the sources, from RSS feeds, news articles, to YouTube channels, to social media influencers, to just the public kind of a thought process when it comes to certain topics in the market. All of that is scraped on a daily basis with AI. That would take a human, which how we did it in the past, hours and hours per day to really come up with the top stories out there. You had to be in the trenches constantly, which we are in the trenches every day in the AI market still, but the AI scraping process allows us to have all that information within like a couple seconds. Now, from there, we have the next step where we have to choose which stories are important. What do we want to talk about? We have a list of 100 stories every day. What is the biggest things that relate to our audience? What is the biggest things that are going to matter to us? Now, here is another place where we can utilize the power of AI. You give the information about what your brand, your message, and your voice is, and what type of stories your audience likes. The AI can go through that process of that giant list and kind of give a rating system of here's your top 3 stories for the day your audience will react to, or they're needle movers for the business, or they'll get the most clicks, whatever your outcome you want to be. Now, here's where the human steps in, because we don't want to just rely on AI to tell us what our top stories are every day. We have a voice and a brand to maintain. So this is where an editorial manager is going to step in, and they're going to look at the top stories and take that in as information, but they will make the final call. If there's a story left out, or there's something being talked about on social media a lot, but it's not on the media sites, then they may have to add a story in, right? So that editor comes in, chooses our top stories for the day, and then it moves back into the AI automations, where from here, that's when it researches the web and creates kind of our base foundation article. Now, this article, we try and give it as much voice as possible to make it what we want, but it's always going to be edits, always going to be changes coming in. And that's, again, where our human element comes in, changes those different things. No matter what we do in our prompts, we cannot get rid of those damn em dashes and hyphens. They're in every article they write for us. So an editor, at very least, has to go and remove those and create the format that we like. Now, in the process, our editor quality checks, make sure everything's true, since AI will hallucinate often, and just really make sure that the content is, again, up to par with what we're doing. Now, from this process, we have to broadcast this across the web. We have our email newsletter, which we send in a summary version. We have our social media broadcasts, which are like our fan page posts. We have our Instagram. We turn them to short form videos to broadcast the news on TikTok, and our Reels and our YouTube Shorts. So that all starts from that original article that was written by AI, but then edited and reworked by our copywriting editor, right? And then from there, the AI helps us create the different formats of that content. So it can help us create images for Facebook. It can help us create the description and the tagline and the headline and the script for the TikTok short form video. That is where it speeds you up. But in every process, there is a human coming in for the integrity of what we're looking for in the end result. I've set it up before where it's just been an automatic situation, and it has a quality output, but it's just robotic. It's easily repetitive, and someone else can come on board and just build the same thing and be the same thing. So you don't really stand out. So in your systems, always look for where that human needs to come into place, and don't fall for the agencies selling you on this concept that it is going to be just a one button click. Some automations that can happen. It's very often like that telephone game right now. So be careful on having AI generated outputs and then just automatically passing that to the next step. It may go off, it may hallucinate, it may be wrong. And when it comes to a business and your output and the quality of your messaging, if something messes up 2% of the time, that's too much, right? You don't want to have 2 bad email newsletters go out every 3 months. That's just not very good for the integrity of what you're trying to do. So have that human element in place, but lean on the AI, because it is powerful and it's getting more powerful every day. And it truly does allow you to create 10 times as much with no limitations on creativity. And you're doing it for pennies compared to what it would be. So guys, follow along Minus AI here. We are talking about AI in business. And there goes my phone on the very bad stand I have. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one.